Every day I get up and I go outside and see nature and walk across the land, seeing some animal or looking at some plant. I find something new almost every day. And it makes me question, how this came about and the importance of keeping it and saving it and passing it on to the next generations. There's nothing more important than the land. There is no more land unless we go to Mars or somewhere.
I've always liked growing. Even as a young kid, I liked to grow herbs and I like the landscape. I think it started from a golf course, really, just a landscaping of a golf course, and just kind of escalated from there. Growing my own food really started when you started seeing the different taste of the food you buy from the store than what you grow. For example, a carrot from the store doesn't taste like a carrot from your garden, and all the other things the same way.
I think the oral history part of saving seeds it gives that seed an identity. And being able to pass that oral history down, I think maybe gives the person growing it a little bit more of importance of, we need to hang on to this. We don't need to let this variety pass by or not save it. I think through the last year and a half that we've all lived through with this COVID crisis, that everybody's dependent on food. I mean, we all know that. And everybody in a community needs to grow what they can, not just for themselves, but for their neighbors and their people that can't do it for themselves. And I think if we could get to a situation where we were doing that, food would be a lot more accessible to everybody.
When we learn to rely on others to feed us, it's much like the pharmaceutical, where now a high percent of our food is imported. Not only would it create jobs and wealth, but it sustains our population that connects to our own land, and I think it's something we need. With the movement of people out of the rural areas, a lot of traditional farming techniques that were handed down from our ancestors have been lost, when it comes to preserving food and canning food and growing food. And most people don't know how today, or a lot of people don't, how to preserve seeds for the future. I don't care if you had a farm 1,000 acres, if you ain't got the seeds, you're not going to farm. So it's very important to learn how to store seeds, save seeds, and grow your own food.
I think I've always saved the bean seeds because it was an obvious one. Like when the beans would go overripe, hey, there's seeds, free seeds, so you keep them. And it was kind of just, I don't ever remember not saving bean seeds, but the other things started from like flowers, like zinnias. You would go to seed, and you'd save my own seeds from zinnias, and then just kind of transpired from that. And then the World Wide Web came along, and you started saying, hey, you can save all these things. And you start researching how to save seeds. But brassicas are easy to save seeds from. Mustards, turnips, radishes, they're very easy to save seed from. They go to seed quick, and the seeds are harvestable, very harvestable, easy. I think the staples are, and from an individual standpoint, it's what does the family go to the store and buy? What do you go and buy? That's your staples. I mean, some people it may be garlic, some people it may be corn. I mean, in our family, it's potatoes and carrots and onions. That's what we grow. That's what we use the most in our kitchen. From my point, it's the idea is to be self-sufficient, self-sustainable. If you want to start a garden and you want to be able to have seed that you keep, take with you, you can look around and see what everybody's doing now. Most people in this area grow beans and corn, and those are the simple things because anybody can keep bean seeds, and bean seeds you can take anywhere. They stay viable for a long amount of time. So corn seeds, most people around here grow hybrid corn, so you can't save the seed from hybrid corn like Silver Queen and the Honeycrisp, but those kind of hybrids you're not going to be able to save the seed from. However, there are heirlooms corns out there you can save the seed from. I have corn I grow and I save the seed from it. When you harvest it at a milk stage, it's sweet. It's sweet corn. It's not as sweet as some of these super enhanced sugar corns, but it's sufficient for me. And I like that kind of corn. And then you can save the seed from it. And it's good because you can keep the seed forever.
While seed saving might share some similarities across a wide array of plants and flowers, it's important to note that there are often some unique differences as well. Let's take a look at two common West Virginia plants, tomatoes and beans. For tomatoes, when the fruit is ripe, harvest the largest, prettiest, least blemished tomato. Make sure its plant is free of viruses and other visible problems that could be passed down genetically through the seeds. Cut off the top of the tomato and squeeze the insides onto a paper towel to soak up as much of the moisture as possible. Separate the seeds to quicken drying time and let the seeds sit in an area with good airflow and out of the weather. A shaded porch is ideal. Before you leave, make sure to weigh down your paper towel so your seeds don't blow away. Your seeds should be dried after 2 days, depending on the weather. And now it's time for storage. Place your seeds in a small container. A Ziploc bag or envelope will do. Label the container with the seed type, date, and location it was harvested. Once you have your container, simply store it in a cool, dry location. A freezer is the ideal location if you have the space. Seeds stored airtight in the freezer will last almost indefinitely. When harvesting beans for seed saving, leave about a dozen pods on the plant and wait for the plant to dry out. This can take as much as 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the weather and harvest date. The plant should lose its color and the bean pod should be brown and crunchy. Once it's dried, just peel the seeds out of the pod and store in a cool, dry location for 2 weeks to completely dry out. After 2 weeks, store the seeds the same way as tomatoes, in a cool, dry place labeled with the seed type, date, and location collected. It's a good idea in late December, around the holiday season, to do a germination test. Plant 10 seeds from the same species and harvest in a small amount of good potting soil. Do this in something small, like a yogurt cup. Remember, this is just a test, so you won't be keeping these seeds. Water lightly every day, and after 15 days, count the number of seedling successes. Multiply the number of seeds that sprouted by 10, and you have your germination rate. Proper seed saving will ensure your planting tradition will continue for generations.
There's still food problems in West Virginia. There's still people that are suffering that don't get what they need. The people of West Virginia, especially rural West Virginia that I've been around, are willing to help and willing to help their neighbor and share. And I think that willingness to help and that attitude helps with food availability at certain times, especially when the harvest comes in, that if they have extra sweet corn, they're going to share it with their neighbor. If they have extra tomatoes, they're going to share it with their neighbor. And I think that just comes from our people here and their personality, our heritage.
Well, the basic skills in farming is understanding, that soil is a live organism. And it's not just inorganic material laying there. It's full of bacteria and funguses and millions of minerals and etc. So, it's science. To really be a good farmer and to teach children, they have to understand, where their food comes from and appreciate where that food comes from and all the hard work and dedication that's been put into that.
I think it's very important for our students of this generation to be able to raise their own food, know where their food comes from, or even save their own seed for that matter. What we've dealt with in the past year and a half here, there's been a lot of things that's been hard to get. I know certain seeds that I have always bought will become unavailable or become a shortage on. Students need to be able to save those for themselves so they can raise their own garden or raise their own food.